Today I want to talk to you a little bit about just building momentum and keeping that momentum going in a job search. Today's job search really requires aggressive networking. If you've ever worked with me as a candidate or as a client, or if you've been through one of my recent job search seminars, I treat it like an activity-based sales process. And it really needs to have that kind of attention, a plan, and continuity of effort. But it's one of those things that is not that difficult when you understand that there's just a few, I'd say half dozen core skills that you need to learn how to do. And you don't need to be a salesy personality. It's really just continuity of effort. And that starts with really kind of having a morning routine. When you're gainfully employed pre-COVID, you had a morning routine. It might not have been the best morning routine. You might not have liked, kind of what you were doing, but you got up and you showered, you shaved, you put on your blouse, your suit, your tie, whatever the case may be, and you had to commute to work, and you had a very defined time that you needed to be there, what you needed to get done, and then coming home. When we're all working from home, whether you're employed or unemployed, we don't have that routine anymore. So it's really important that you establish a new morning routine. Now, that said, it's more important than ever than to have dedicated time, whether that's working with some friends, some family, your spouse, that every day you can go out and chop a little wood on your job search. So having that morning routine, and I can speak from personal experience on this, when COVID hit, I had already been primarily working from home, but I got up every day and kind of suited up. If you know me, I like to wear my sport coats. You'll see it in all my videos. I used to really love my suits, but I don't care to put those on anymore. But I had a morning routine, and it just made my brain wake up. First thing I'd do is walk the dog. Second thing is brush my teeth, shower, make a cup of coffee, and then get dressed and commute to work. Or when it was work from home, I knew on any given day that I was most likely going to have either coffee in the morning or lunch with a candidate or a client. So I suited up. I had my game face on. Well, funny thing happened when COVID hit. I was still working from home, but I didn't have to suit up to go and meet someone for coffee or lunch. I couldn't. And what I found was I was breaking my routine. I wasn't, popping out of bed at quite the same time every single day. Wasn't, showering every day, but I wasn't doing it as part of my routine. And it just didn't feel the same when I didn't have my a nice shirt and a sport coat and things of that nature. So I reestablished that routine even though I knew I was not going to be leaving my house. And what a difference it made. Oh my God, it was like night and day. So first things first, I've seen a lot of people on company Zoom calls and, they look sloppy. They didn't have a morning routine for sure. I'm not even sure they had a shower that day. Don't fall into that trap. You need this for your mental health. Now, that's my morning routine. It might not be your morning routine, but figure out whatever it is that you need to do religiously to really get your brain going. Now, that could be working out, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be just a cup of coffee. For me, it's a long walk on the river with my dog and a cup of coffee. And that shower. Don't forget the shower. So having that morning routine is really critical. The second thing I think is really important, particularly if you're unemployed, about having that morning routine and putting your game face on and having a dedicated workspace and a dedicated kind of work routine, is that your spouse, your friends, your family, your children will see you getting up engaged every single day. And I know it's scary for you, it's scary for them too. So, it helps not just you, but it helps them as well. Now, this is just my opinion. There's all kinds of different opinions on this subject, but I deal with a lot of the kind of angst every single day from candidates and clients that are going through this. I hear it every single day. And one of the number one pieces of feedback that I get is, thanks for the advice on having a morning routine. Thanks for the advice about having dedicated time to really kind of work at my networking and my job search. In my job search coaching class, I talk about having X amount of activity done every single day so that you're creating continuity of effort. Momentum is really hard to develop, and it is super easy to lose. So having a kind of plan of, how many people am I going to reach out to? How many conversations, not just interviews, but how many networking conversations am I going to have today and this week? And set it up as a, kind of a metric on a board, that is visible for everyone to see. There's real power in having a scoreboard staring back at you. It works great for athletes. It works wonders for everyone else as well. So having that morning routine, a work routine, a dedicated workspace, and activity goals, both daily and weekly, and some results goals, i.e. interviews and getting a job, are critical to creating that momentum and, more importantly, maintaining that momentum. In my job search seminar, I even pair people up in what I call small groups, really kind of small group workout buddies designed to create that kind of camaraderie, that community to work on their technique, and a little bit of soft accountability to make sure that they're chopping that wood every single day, creating that momentum, and creating that activity that gets to the result we all want, which is a job you'll love. I hope you found this helpful. If so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and be sure to sign up for my weekly newsletter of tips, tricks, and techniques to finding a job in the pandemic.